Welcome to The Fully Mindful, where we explore what it means to live with intention, creativity, authenticity, and connection. I'm your host, Melissa Chareau, mindfulness and breathwork facilitator, neurodivergent lawyer and coach, and fellow human navigating this wild and beautiful ride we call life. On this podcast, we dive deep with interviews featuring inspiring guests, share solo mini episodes packed with guided mindfulness practices to help you center and thrive, and mix things up with Tangents and Sidebars, where my friend and fellow podcaster Debbie Harrell from the New World Normal joins me for some real, random, and meaningful conversations. So if you're ready to pause, reflect, and expand, you're in the right place. Let's get fully mindful.
You are live. Here I am. Well, what happened? Welcome to another episode of Tangents and Sidebars, where Melissa from The Fully Mindful and I, come on here and talk about random things. Here we go. Here she is. Maybe, possibly. Oh, yes.
We always talk about random stuff, and we'll see if there was a stink bug that was like just exited the screen right before I came on. We'll see if he comes.
The screen?
Yeah, there's a stink bug on the screen. Not your screen, like on my screen here.
I'm doing this without glasses because now that, with the time chains, it's dark. And I have to use lighting. And I just hate the glare. It drives me bonkers.
There's glare.
I'll probably be super squinty, but it's okay.
These are fake glasses anyway. These are just blue light glasses. They're not real.
Interesting.
I have my real glasses are coming, and then here's New World Normal too. I went to get my new prescription this weekend, and they're like, "Oh, do you want progressive lenses?" And I was like, "Oh, that's right. I'm getting older. I probably could use that, right?" And they're like, "Yeah," and they didn't tell me that would be a shit ton more money for progressive lenses. So then I go to pay, and I just I just paid, and I didn't think about it. And then I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't seem right.
Did I get 5 pairs of glasses?
Right. Because I went with my daughter and she got prescription glasses too. So we got 3 pairs of glasses all together. And so I knew it was not going to be inexpensive, but it shouldn't have been what it was. And so then when I got home, I looked at the receipt and I was like, oh, okay. I guess when you get older person's glasses, you really pay for it. And so I emailed them and they were very nice. I said, oops. I don't think I'm quite ready for progressives, and or at least my wallet's not. So can we undo that part of the transaction? And
just kidding.
Yeah, they were very nice. And actually, I really like this company, Warby Parker.
Oh,
they do really, frames, and they're actually very inexpensive for the quality. And I'm sure I would have been just fine with their progressives, but I wasn't quite ready for that.
Yeah. No, we use Warby Parker as well.
Yeah. I thought it was, when we first went to Warby Parker, we did not set out to talk about this on Tangents and Sidebars, but it did.
We're sticking to the Tangents and Sidebars part of it.
I was like, because I think I originally found out about them through the Rich Roll podcast. And I was like, well, if it's on Rich Roll, it must be expensive because all his stuff is high end that he promotes. And no, I was pleasantly surprised. It's not expensive, despite what I said about the progressive lenses. I think my frames were like $123 or something. It's like with the lenses, like all of it together in one. I've never paid that little for a pair of glasses.
Yeah. The first I went to a Warby Parker, it was in Venice. So I feel like it's like the cool kids,
Yes.
inexpensive eyeglasses.
Yeah. I'm pretty psyched. I can't wait.
I can't wait to go buy more glasses. I was excited. Speaking of getting older and sight, when I got my eyes checked last time, my doctor said that my stigmatism had corrected itself. So I literally don't need prescription glasses anymore. I just need magnifying for reading.
So you like hear this, young people who might be listening, just hang out and your vision's going to get better.
And so I just came home and immediately bought a bunch of inexpensive magnifying cheaters, Yeah. They're in every room of my house, every bag I have.
I was like, I could have expensive progressive lenses, or I can just have the like $5 Costco version and just put those on when I need them.
Yeah. And I think you can order, I don't think they're as expensive as prescription, but you can get the cheaters also. So
yeah.
I looked
see what happens. The one,
and they were a little expensive. I'm like, no, I like my, $5 Target ones.
The one benefit of getting older, your vision does get better.
Every once in a while, it's a benefit.
Yeah. So what we were going to talk about is kind of heavy.
Is it?
I don't know.
I guess anything can be heavy these days, depending on how you look at it. But we're in the month of November, which a lot of people try to focus on gratitude this time of the year. And you and I kind of bonded about the fact that when it starts happening, we're like, oh God, and I feel like you and I have talked about this before too. Anytime I'm feeling resistant or annoyed by something, that's usually when I probably need it most.
Yeah. Which makes me even more annoyed about it, right? It's like, oh God, right. I need that more. And I really don't want it.
But I don't want to.
So, and what we were going to talk about is, we're also going to talk about like performative gratitude. So a lot of people feel like they have to be grateful, right? And then they have to show that they're grateful, right? And so there are a lot of people out there doing reels and Instagram posts and talking about how grateful they are about all the things in their lives. And maybe they really effing are. I don't know.
That's it. It's like, are all these people really that grateful for all these things? Or are they just posting this?
I don't know. And I think that's the danger, is like to really be grateful. The gratitude practice is really amazing, right? And we know from the science that it works. It really does work. Sidebar only works if it's honest, right?
Right. If you believe it.
Yeah.
That's the same with affirmations. You got to kind of believe it, or it's not going to really work. If you're just forcing yourself to name things that you feel you should
one area where
feel thankful for.
Yeah, you can't fake it until you make it. I'm a big believer in faking it till you make it, or at least that action precedes thought, right? Like in terms of changing your thoughts. That said, I don't think you can fake gratitude. Like you've got to, and I've gotten there by doing what I'm going to call them bridge statements. So if I'm not quite grateful yet, I can find something smaller, or I can find appreciation. So while I might not be grateful for my life and everything that's happening in it at this very moment, I might be like,
for me, not to me.
Right. And sometimes I really am there, but a lot of times I'm not. And so, I might be like, God, I really appreciate this really, really strong hot cup of coffee right now. And that's where I'm at. Or like a bridge statement would be like, well, I'm willing to try to maybe work my way into feeling grateful about having what I have in my life, right? So that it's an honest statement. Like if that's honest, like I'm willing to try to work on that. That's honest.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I feel like when I'm having resistance, telling myself to start as small as possible. Think of the tiniest thing, or that bridging. I'm working on it. I'm trying. I might not be there yet, but I'm working on it.
Right. Right.
And then
Yeah.
the other thing that I found myself being annoyed by someone mentioning, and I don't remember what word she used, but it was like, you can't be grateful and this also. It doesn't happen, like the science. And I was like, what do you mean? Because I'm constantly talking about you've got to leave space for the and. I can be grateful and sad or
Yes.
angry. And I think, so I did a little research, which is the first time I did research before one of these calls. And it's anxiety. They say you can't be anxious and grateful at the same time.
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Because I feel like I've been anxious and grateful, because I feel like for anxiety, for me, especially in this time in history, like anxiety is just constant in the background. It's like white noise. It's there, and I'm not saying it's debilitating, but it's there. And so I can be grateful for these things, but also like anxious about the uncertainty,
Yeah. I say people that say that you can't feel love and fear at the same time. And I don't believe that either. I think you absolutely can feel love for someone or something or a circumstance and also be afraid of something else. Right. We're not so black and white, right? I don't think it's like an either or situation.
Yeah. It's interesting you said love and fear, because I'm like, I feel like they just kind of go hand in hand, because when you really, really love something, that's kind of terrifying.
It can be. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And so, yeah, anxiety and gratitude, I think, can commingle, right? They can be on the same dance party floor. Why not?
Thanks for validating me, because I was like, I don't know that I believe that. I feel like I felt it, and then I'm like, maybe I'm misnaming my anxiety. Maybe it's not actually anxiety. What is it? I don't know.
Yeah, I think we're just much more complicated as human beings than, and maybe as like a general, I'm just trying to be generous to whoever that was. Maybe like as a general rule, they don't generally coexist, but I think they could coexist. And obviously they do coexist because you felt them at the same time and other people have felt them at the same time. I'm sure I've felt them at the same time. And I just think we're a little bit more complicated than that.
I wonder if it's more like in the like when you're purely focusing, maybe like a meditative or mindfulness practice where you're focusing on the gratitude itself. Maybe that's when it kind of doesn't leave as much room for the anxiety or the fear or the sadness.
Maybe it's more like an eclipse, right? It's still there, but it's eclipsing it, right?
I like that.
Yeah, you like that?
Yeah.
What we get here at Tangents and Sidebars.
Yeah. So now that we have sufficiently shit talked the idea of a gratitude practice, why is it important? Why is it important to have?
Let's take a quick break.
Hey everybody, this is Melissa with the Fully Mindful. It's the new year, and I bet you're feeling the need to unlock your full potential and embrace empowerment, or maybe something completely different. Well, I'm excited to offer a new program with one-on-one breathwork and coaching sessions. We'll embark on a truly transformative journey of self-discovery, combining conscious, connected breathwork and embodiment coaching, and more. So contact me, Melissa, at the Fully Mindful, for your transformative session today. Right. Well, when we can find genuine, authentic gratitude,
genuine, believable.
Mm-hmm. I mean, we tend to attract more of that in our life. We tend to see more of it in our lives. So the more we can find appreciation, I'm going to use the word appreciation in tandem with gratitude, the more we can find appreciation for things, the more we tend to see things that we appreciate and that we are grateful for. So in the, kind of using that eclipse metaphor, right? The more that the eclipse can remain, right? The more that we are eclipsing those difficult feelings, they're still there and they're not going away. And I'm not saying that we're hiding them or feeling like we need to not be with them. But what becomes more predominant is a feeling of gratitude and an appreciation in our lives. And that feels good.
Yeah. And that's part of the science, right? When our brain is looking for evidence of the things that we believe. So if we're busy believing that we're grateful and appreciative, then we're going to see the evidence of that.
It's like when you buy a new car and you're like, nobody has ever had a red Prius before, me. And then you buy the red Prius and suddenly you're like, oh my God, everybody and their mother has a red Prius, right? You just start noticing it, right? So it's the same kind of thing. So the more that you can activate that appreciation or gratitude, the more you're going to see appreciation and gratitude out there in the world, just like the red Prius.
Yeah. And I feel like that's, I've been thinking a lot about, well, because that's why I started that mindful media newsletter that I'm going to do on Fridays with suggestions of things to watch, because feeling anxious, that low grade white noise of anxiety in the background. And then you realize, oh, what am I doing to relax? I'm watching like serial killer documentaries and dystopian movies, which I love, but also that's then feeding us that viewpoint. And then we're going to look for evidence like, oh my gosh, we're going that way.
Right. My husband's like, can't understand. He'll always make fun of me in a cute way. Like, he's not truly making fun of me. He's just like, thinks it's cute about me that I watch like Abbott Elementary and the English Teacher and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, yeah, the world kind of sucks. So I need to watch stuff that's just like irreverent or funny, or, maybe taps into like the goodness of humanity, when possible. It feels better that way. Right.
Yeah.
I need to see that and make me see it out there in the world too.
Yeah. And I'm grateful. I'm grateful that they are, some creative people are doing that on purpose, like doing like Ted Lasso style shows. And we were talking about the other day how Shrinking is doing such a good job of, might not be perfect, like as far as, because I'm curious what the therapy world thinks about that show. But as just a lay person watching it, like, oh, look, they're talking about all the range of things that we deal with, and doing it lightheartedly and accessibly. I don't know. I like it.
Right. And even talking about, big, heavy things. They're talking about feelings and like actually having conversations about them. And that's really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which gets to our next topic. We were also going to talk about coaching in quote unquote unprecedented times.
Well, I feel like it works for therapy too, whether you're working with a coach or a therapist. And I hope that most therapists are bringing this up. I know it's something that I talk about in my coaching a lot, is the outside influences. Like you can't really focus on, I'm trying to reach my goal without noticing, paying attention to the outward systems that are impacting your ability to be able to get there, whether it's the economy, impacting your monetary goals, or, I mean, there's just so much going on in the world right now.
Or politics or war or your rights being taken away or threatened to be taken away, or impacted in some ways. I mean, yeah.
Or the uncertainty of not sure what's going to happen. Are all those things going to happen? Are they, are they going to be as bad as a lot of us have imagined? Is it?
Yes, probably. We don't know.
Trying to stay hopeful. I
mean, maybe not. A lot of good people are doing a lot of good things, but I also appreciate, like, we can't, and I guess this kind of gets back to this idea of not being toxically positive or, trying to be grateful when maybe we're not feeling it so much. I've seen a lot of thought leaders or spiritual leaders that I really appreciate, talking about this. Like, they're having a hard time. They're struggling. They're actually talking about the fact that they're struggling, and they're keeping it real. And I appreciate that, that they're not like, oh, look at me, I'm the guru, I have all the answers, all will be okay, just listen to what I have to say and do what I do. They're keeping it absolutely real.
Yeah, and appreciate the fact that they're actually talking about it, because so many times people, and which has always been mind-boggling to me, like if you're in the personal growth space, how do you not talk about these kinds of issues? Like,
right.
how do you not talk about politics? Well, I'm just not political. I mean, everything's political. Like, well, I can't think of a thing that really isn't political.
When they say they're not political, they're saying they're not comfortable talking about politics, but that's something different.
Right. That's a more honest statement. And for myself, I recognize that it's easier for me to hold on to a little bit of that hope, being that I'm a white, able-bodied woman living in California.
Right.
So that's a different experience, vastly different experience than somebody in a different colored body living in a very red state.
Yeah. A really different.
And people, and that's kind of been one of my pet peeves too, is people in the like guru personal development space where they don't acknowledge their privilege, especially in the coaching coaches, which we love that. Like, I can do all these things. Okay, where like there's some reasons that you can do all these things so easily. Like,
yeah,
share a little bit of that too, because it takes time to get from point A to point B. And, if you had some help that
share about,
right, wasn't necessarily earned, you've got to be honest about that with yourself and your people that are following you.
Right. And there's this idea in coaching and definitely in therapy that, it's not about us as coaches, or in the case of therapists, it's about the client. And absolutely agree with that. But that doesn't mean that you don't share something of yourself and your experience, right? It doesn't mean you're like some coach robot or therapist robot.
Oh, yeah.
Which is actually...
Yeah. In actual coaching therapy, I was more like people online when they're sharing.
Oh, I see.
Trying to build an audience, not necessarily in a session, but how they're presenting themselves as they're trying to attract people.
Yeah, no, 100%. And I mean, you got to love those posts that you see where they're like, in 1 month, I went from earning $1 with no clients to earning $5 million with 10. And you're like, good for you. Or I don't believe you know.
Or like the fact that I've told you that I was very proud. I talked to a Trump supporter and we had a dialogue, and I feel like he actually heard me explain privilege to him, because when I first talked about the idea of privilege, he's like, well, I earned everything I've got. He kind of forgot that he told me about his family having like 500,000 acres in Central California when he was a child. Right. And I'm like, all that stuff, a lot of people don't have that as a starting point. Right. And I did that analogy. Have you and I talked about the Monopoly game analogy?
I'm not sure. Remind me.
I'm going to share it because anybody watching, it was very helpful, and I feel like it's an easy way to explain it to other people. Maybe you'll use it with that cranky uncle at Thanksgiving this year or Christmas. But the idea of playing Monopoly, because we've all played Monopoly, and you have to pass go once before you start buying property.
Right.
So imagine being somebody that's playing Monopoly with a group of friends, only you have to go around the board 5 or 10 times before you can start buying anything. Mm-hmm. How competitive is that going to make you? How are you going to feel? That's what I asked the guy that I was talking to. I'm like, how are you going to feel if you have to go around the board 5 times before you could start buying things, and everybody else is buying right off the bat? And he's like, well, I'm going to feel pretty bitter. I was like, oh, yeah, interesting. But yeah, that's the idea of privilege. You've gotten a leg up that other people haven't gotten, that you didn't earn. It was just by luck, pure happenstance that you were born into the body you were born into the family that you were born into the geography that you were born into, like just luck.
Just luck. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. I just interviewed a doctor of psychology about ADD in girls, and it even occurs there where they did a study where boys and girls' names were changed to in case files to determine who got services. And if there was a boy's name, they got services. And if there was a girl's name, they didn't get the services. Same exact factual scenario.
Wow.
Yeah. So it happens all over the place. And nobody, it's not malicious. It's not, nobody's intending to deprive, well, I shouldn't say nobody. A lot of people are not intending to deprive others of something, of some benefit. It just happens, right? And then there are those who do intend to deprive others.
Yeah.
And that's a whole nother side.
There's intention, and then there's conditioning or habit, or
right.
It's the way we've always done it.
Right. Unconscious bias. Yep. Yeah.
Thanks for putting them in the papers.
Yeah. So as we go into this Thanksgiving holiday, we've covered a lot of ground here. We talked about total tangent of glasses, but we did talk about two important subjects. One, how to find authentic gratitude, right? Just maybe taking small steps, finding something that we appreciate.
Letting it eclipse those other feelings if you can.
Yeah. And then it starts to show up everywhere instead of it being something that we have to go out and locate. It starts just showing up. And then we talked a little bit more about keeping it real, whether we're in a coach space or a therapist space or just in a human space of like just keeping it real and sharing when we can and being transparent when we're struggling or if it's difficult, that it's not all awesome all the time. And that can be a real moment of vulnerability, but also a moment of connection.
Yeah. And even if you're not in a coaching or therapeutic space, but you're just struggling, like be mindful. Like there's a lot of stuff going on right now. So give yourself a little grace and check in with yourself. Maybe that is part of what's, blocking you or being an obstacle. I know when we first talked about that, I'm like, oh, we should talk about having difficult conversations since the holidays are coming up. But that was literally one of our other episodes already. So we've already talked about that.
Yeah, we did talk about that. So go back and listen to that.
Yeah. So as we're wrapping up, because I feel like we're at the half hour, what's going on with you?
What's going on with me? Well, I am getting ready I'm glowing up my podcast. So I'm in the process of looking at retooling my podcast. So that'll be relaunching in the new year. I'm still getting out some really good episodes. So it's not like that's not happening, but I'm really excited about that. And still have some live breathwork stuff going on around town and have some coaching going on. So that's pretty exciting. And what else? Oh, I have online.
I was like, that's what I was. I was like, listen, the online one.
Online breathwork this Thursday, 5:30 Pacific, and folks can sign up on my website, thefullymindful.com, and it's going to be a really good one. It is actually on gratitude and release, and it does incorporate a little bit about, I think, what we've all been experiencing this last couple of weeks. So I hope you'll join me there.
Yes, I'm going to be there, and I will. Yay. I know you shared the link with me, so I'll be sharing that on my socials in the next few days.
What's going on with you?
Well, I already glowed up my show.
You sure did. It's all
so I am. My goal is to put out weekly episodes. I used to be a bi-weekly podcast. My mouth is not working today. Bi-weekly podcast. Now I would like to be a weekly podcast, and that is my goal. However, I am keeping in mind that there's a lot of stuff going on in the world and giving myself grace. I'm going to work as hard as I can, but whatever happens, happens. And I just remember how much I love doing that, the actual interviewing part. I'm not excited about the editing and the promoting, but I do love the actual interview part. So I'm excited to get back to that. I kind of teased a little bit that I'm starting that Friday newsletter with recommendations, because I feel like a lot of people are always asking, what are you watching? What are you for the weekend? Give people ideas for. I'm of course going to have my podcast episode, but I will be recommending other podcasts or books or, documentaries, TV shows. So if you have any of those, be sure to send them my way so I can recommend them to everybody. And then what else is going on with me? Oh, I'm working on my first ever Black Friday offer.
Ooh, what's that going to have?
It's going to be a personalized vision statement. So you have tried the New Year's resolution. You have tried the New Year's intention word. Maybe you've even made a vision board. Now you can try personalized vision statement. And I'm actually building it as a course. So like electronic, pointing at my computer. So it'll be like there's tech involved, which is why it's taking me a little longer, but I'm excited because it'll be there. If you ever want it, it's there.
Cool.
And in addition, you'll get like 52 affirmations to work with throughout the year as well.
Wow. That sounds really awesome.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. So that's what's up with me.
That's what's up with you.
And I know and I know we had people joining us, but since I don't have my glasses on,
you can't.
I couldn't say hi to anybody.
But remember, these aren't real glasses, so I can't see. They just protect me from the blue light.
Like, it looks like there's people here, but I have no idea who it is. Hi, friends.
I think Audra is here for sure. I think I can see that name, but yes, yeah. Hi, friends. Yes, and hi, friends who are watching this later.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So this is it. Tangents in the Sidebar. We're going to record live on Instagram.
Yep.
Maybe in the new year, we'll come up with an actual schedule. For now, it's here, when we both have time.
Which is like very consistent, actually, with Tangents and Sidebar. The theme of Tangents and Sidebar. Be totally random.
We just show up when we can. Yeah. And then it'll be on both of our podcast feeds also. So
yes,
all places.
As long as we figure that out, it will go there. It will live there. Awesome. Well, I hope everyone has a beautiful Thanksgiving and that you find something to appreciate in every day and on Thanksgiving, of course.
Yes. And you can find reasons to be appreciative and grateful, even if you don't celebrate Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Every day. Yep.
All right. I'm going to try and end this now. Bye.
Okay. See you later.
Bye.
Hey everybody, it's Melissa, and I'm wondering if you all can relate. Have you ever caught yourself procrastinating or maybe doubting your abilities, or maybe you have a black belt inner critic like I do or have had that wants to sabotage your every move with judgment and perfectionism expectations? It might keep you stuck, it might keep you anxious and away from your full potential. The Positive Intelligence Program, PQ, is a powerful 6-week journey designed to help you quiet those saboteurs, embrace positivity, and find flow in your life. Through daily practices and weekly focuses, we'll work together to build your mental fitness. The PQ app will guide you every step of the way and support you, and you'll be supported either by myself in a one-on-one or in a small group of like-minded individuals where you can share insights and progress. So reach out, contact me at info@thefullymindful.com to find out how we can work together one-on-one or in a small group today.